Of all the fighting games that have stood the test of time and cemented their legacy, none can grab my attention quite like Street Fighter. I have been all over the place with this series, but I've got way more positive memories than negative ones. But the negative ones still hurt. I've gotten back into Street Fighter 6 recently with the release of Mai, and I'm currently trying to take her to Master Rank, a level I was never quite able to reach when I played back at launch. I've also gone back to some of the older Street Fighter games in the 30th Anniversary Collection, mainly Street Fighter 2 and 3. But this collection actually features another game, one I'd never played myself but have heard nothing but horror stories about. Street Fighter 1. It is really easy to look at Street Fighter 1 in 2025 and say, wow, who the hell would greenlight a sequel to this? But as much as I'm surprised to admit it, it was incredibly revolutionary for its time. A lot of people think Street Fighter 2 came along and built the modern fighting game formula from the ground up. But that's not really the case. The truth is, the team over at Capcom nailed a ton of stuff right out the gate. They did, I swear. If you think the fact that Street Fighter continuing past this game is a fucking miracle, you're not giving it enough credit. So join me as I take a look at Street Fighter 1 and actually try my hardest to understand just what the hell the developers were going for. Street Fighter is the beginning of Ryu's lifelong journey as the World Warrior. He even wears shoes in this game. I hope that was enough to convince you, because he's all you got in this game. No Chun-Li, no Cammy, no Guile, no Dhalsim, none of that. Ken is here, but he's just a clone of Ryu. You can't even select him unless you're playing multiplayer. The original arcade version of the game tasks you with defeating 8 opponents across 4 different countries. Just like in the newer games, you fight in a best of 3 with visible health bars, a scoring system, timer, and special moves. More on those later. While Street Fighter was not the first one-on-one fighting game, if we compare it to what came before, it's actually a massive leap in quality. See, that's something a lot of people tend to forget when looking at older games like this. Sure, it's not as impressive as something like Street Fighter 6, with all of its physics, but Street Fighter 1 actually had a lot going on for the time. Big, colorful sprites, a clean presentation, and detailed backgrounds helped the game stand out in the arcades back in 1987. Even the very concept of every battle literally being a street fight started in this game. They even had voice acting. Shakespearean! Now, it's safe to say Street Fighter 2 really does owe a lot to its predecessor. But one thing that cannot be understated is just how difficult it is to play this game. For comparison's sake, we are going to be looking at Street Fighter 6 and Street Fighter 1 side by side, just to fully appreciate the glow up here. We are also going to be blowing the dust off this fight stick of mine for the purposes of this demonstration. You know, just to get us closer to that true arcade feel. I really like the idea of getting good with this thing. I mean, that's why I keep it around. But I also hate the idea of a special controller I use for just one type of game. I'll say this though, games like Street Fighter 1, 2, and even 3, I do prefer on the old stick. But I could never play an anime fighter like BlazBlue or Guilty Gear on something like this. Like, are you kidding me? Air dashing on a stick? Like, just fucking kill me, dude. Street Fighter, in all forms, traditionally uses a 6-button setup. You have 3 punches and 3 kicks, each with different strengths, speed, and properties. The player is meant to become very intimate with each punch and kick their character is capable of. These are what we call your normals, your most basic attacks. And you use them to space out and poke at your opponent, trying to open them up for a proper combo and gain an advantage. Street Fighter 1 didn't invent the 6-button setup it's using, but it did popularize it. There was also another version of the arcade machine with different, much more stupid controls. The mini versions. The more things change, the more they stay the same, am I right? This deluxe version of Street Fighter featured two big-ass pressure-sensitive buttons instead, and you were actually meant to beat the shit out of these buttons to determine the speed and strength of your attacks. This, as you can imagine, was a terrible idea. Arcade owners hated it because they had crazy motherfuckers coming in and literally stomping on these buttons with their feet to perform their strongest attacks. They were all kinds of disrespectful of these machines, dude, so it's not surprising that the 6-button version is what stuck in the end. Another weird thing about Street Fighter 1 is that the concept of hit stun and block stun are both here, at least I think so, but both of them are pretty fucked up. In any modern Street Fighter, you comboing something is totally dependent on the attack you land. For example, I can combo into a Hadouken from Ryu's crouching medium kick here, but I can't from, say, a standing jab. This standing jab is not a special cancelable attack. In Street Fighter 1, it feels like it's just open season for combos, man. Like, it doesn't matter. None of it matters. The system just does not give a fuck what you got hit with beforehand, and hitboxes are all over the place. You can hit somebody with a Shoryuken, and maybe it hit once. Maybe it hit twice. Maybe it hits 3 times for an instant KO. Who the hell knows? It's a crapshoot. You can get tagged by a jump kick, then eat a flurry of attacks so fast that it makes your goddamn head spin. And at least to my eye, there is no damage scaling to protect you from eating a 100% damage combo. Add to all that the absolutely devastating properties of special moves in this game, and you've got the fucking Dark Souls of fighting games. Speaking of the special moves, Ryu is equipped with all the same special moves he's pretty much always had for the last 30 years. Real classics on display here. The Hadouken, Shoryuken, and Tatsumaki Sepaki. Remember how I said these special moves were devastating? Well, they really are. The player is not exempt from reaping their benefits, and you're gonna want to. The problem is, there's not a soul on this earth who can tell you how to consistently execute any of these moves. I'm so serious. Back over in Street Fighter 6, we have the modern convenience of input display, so I can see exactly what I'm doing for each move. Trust me, I'm a pretty cool guy. I know my way around a stick. But in this game, despite the manual saying the input is the same as it's always been, I cannot for the life of me figure out what the actual truth is. Even Justin Wong, Big Wong Daddy, one of the best fighting game players in the world, he can only offer this as advice when it comes to special moves in this game.
There's actually a secret on how to do special moves in it. You really won't be able to do Fireball by how you naturally do it. You actually have to really try really hard. Smack, bro. Smack. So yeah, you have to negative edge to do stuff like this. If you don't negative edge, you probably won't get it out as consistent. Maybe not even ever. Smack. I'm consistently doing special in this game. I'm kind of ridiculous, you know what I mean?
I'm here to tell you, Justin, that does not work for me. I get the concept of negative edge inputs in fighters, but Street Fighter 1 just won't bless me with consistent fireballs. As you can see from this gameplay, you want consistent fireballs. If you can pull that off, you'll have a way easier time in this game. So what did work for me then? Well, to do anything in this game, I just spam the hell out of the input as fast as I can. This is how I got through the game. Now, it doesn't look clean, it doesn't look sexy, but it's all I got. Once I started spamming the input, I got way more special moves to happen. But the problem is playing like that doesn't leave any room for defense at all. While you're sitting there, looking like an asshole, trying your hardest to spam these inputs, the computer is over there doing exactly what they want to do, exactly when they want to do it. You may get that fireball out eventually, but Birdie is just going to jump over that shit every time and KO you in 3 hits. Or you're just going to look like a jackass whiffing full screen dragon punches. It's aggravating! Street Fighter 1 is a high damage game. A few good hits is all you need to take someone out, and that's just way easier said than done. And Lord help you if you actually make it to the final battle with Sagat. Sagat with his weird leg proportions, does not give a damn how you feel. It took me forever to beat this guy, and given the nature of the combat, it wasn't even really satisfying when it happened, because how the hell did I even do that? Also, his theme is terrible, like ear-piercingly bad. Most of the music in this game is not very good, but, you know, they got better. They did get better in the next game. Over in Street Fighter 6, you don't have to worry about any of this stuff. Things are much more balanced across the board, unless your name is JP. The part of all this I'm still trying to figure out is whether this is all, like, bad or not. Like, you know what I mean? Like, is the game bad, or are its rules just different, and I don't understand them? I have a hard time calling this game bad, for a few reasons. The first being that it really does set an impressive amount of the groundwork for Street Fighter 2. It's just lacking that extra polish. If you've seen my video on NES Metroid, we are dealing with a similar situation here. That game isn't bad because it's old, and is still just as fun to play today as it was back in the 80s. Now, as frustrating as the controls can be in this game, I can't say I didn't have fun trying to learn how they work. Ryu is the only character on offer, but Ryu is a great character. He and Ken are some of the most recognizable characters in video games. Even fun stuff like the bonus stages are included here. Like with Metroid, the game's legacy can't be ignored. A lot of people think it's an unplayable mess nowadays, but back then it did very well in arcades, and it got great reviews. The director of this game, Takashi Nishiyama, is a freaking legend in his own right. Right after this game, he produces the first Mega Man, and just a few years later he goes on to create the first Fatal Fury for SNK, setting the stage for my love, Mai Shiranui. Back over at Capcom, the first Final Fight beat-em-up would be created out of a planned sequel to this game. Street Fighter 2 then comes along after, and the rest is history. I think Street Fighter 1 is still a fun arcade fighter and worth going back to from time to time. Capcom themselves are still quite proud of it. Over the years, most of the characters from this game have been made playable in others, like Street Fighter Alpha, which also kind of re-explored the lore of this game and the aftermath of Ryu's battle with Sagat. I mean, that's a pretty huge, important moment in terms of Street Fighter lore, and Capcom has held on to it and built on it for years and years now. They really care about this stuff. If you care about fighting games or the Street Fighter series as a whole, I think I'd recommend this one to you. That's all I got for now, so be sure to subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and wish me luck as my Street Fighter 6 journey continues. I think I'm gonna need it.
I am asexual, but god damn!